In the heart of the Whispering Vale, a place where silver mist curled through ancient emerald trees and fireflies danced in the twilight, there lived a girl named Elira. The valley was peaceful, its villages nestled between hills that stretched towards the heavens, and the people lived in harmony with the land. But Elira was no ordinary girl, for around her neck hung a pendant unlike any other, a shimmering talisman that pulsed with an eerie rhythm. The opalescent stone was smooth and cold to the touch, but it carried a strange warmth when it sang to her. The heartbeat it mimicked was not her own, but the rhythm of the people around her. Elira had inherited the pendant from her grandmother, a woman whose eyes held stories of countless years, and whose gentle hands had worn the pendant long before her. "It holds the heartbeat of the world," her grandmother had whispered with a knowing smile, as if she carried the weight of the pendant's secrets. At first, Elira had thought it a mere trinket, something beautiful to wear, but as she wandered through the village, she began to notice its peculiar magic. It pulsed in a way that she could not explain, responding to the emotions of others. The first time she noticed its power was during a lively market day. As children ran between stalls, giggling with excitement, the pendant fluttered against her chest, light and quick, mimicking the bright, eager pulses of their joy. In contrast, the next day, when the village mourned the passing of a beloved elder, the pendant slowed, growing heavy and burdened, as if weighed down by the collective sorrow. Elira soon realized the pendant was connected to more than just her own emotions. It was attuned to the feelings of everyone around her. As the days turned to weeks, Elira grew more attuned to the pendant's silent song. It guided her through the village streets, revealing hidden truths and secrets that lay beneath the surface of everyday life. When the village baker had spent sleepless nights worrying over her family's future, Elira felt the tremors of anxiety ripple through the pendant, prompting her to offer a comforting word, lifting the weight from the baker's heart. When a merchant's rage bubbled beneath the surface, the pendant's pulse quickened, warning her to step aside before he lost his temper. The pendant became a beacon, guiding Elira through a world of unspoken emotions and giving her an extraordinary ability to empathize with others. But the pendant's magic was not without its burdens. There were moments when the rhythm grew so erratic, so frantic, that Elira felt she might lose herself in the intensity of it all. When a fierce storm swept through the valley one night, the pendant thudded against her chest, pulsing with the fear that gripped the villagers. The river had swollen beyond its banks, and in the darkness, a child had been swept away. Elira felt the urgency in the pendant's heartbeat, as if it was urging her to move before the cries for help were even heard. She ran faster than she ever had before, her feet hardly touching the ground. By the time she reached the river's edge, the boy was clinging to a broken branch, his small body trembling with the cold and exhaustion. Without a second thought, Elira waded into the raging waters, her heart pounding in sync with the pendant's frantic rhythm. The current tugged at her, threatening to pull her under, but she fought against it, her hand grasping the child's wrist. The pendant's pulse raced in time with the boy's fading strength. With every ounce of her will, Elira dragged him to safety. When she finally reached the shore, the boy coughed, sputtering as the breath returned to his lungs. At that moment, the pendant's pulse slowed, matching the relief that flooded the air around them. The villagers gathered around, praising Elira for her bravery, but deep inside she knew it was the pendant that had guided her, its rhythm a whisper of what she could not see. Years passed, and the pendant remained with Elira, a constant presence at her side. Yet, as time wore on, she began to sense a change, something she had never felt before. It happened one evening when the sun dipped below the hills, casting the sky in hues of gold and pink. Elira stood by the edge of the village, her eyes lost in the fading light, when she noticed that the pendant had gone silent. Panic gripped her heart. She clutched the pendant, trying to summon its rhythm, but it remained still, unnaturally still. Her chest tightened as she searched the faces of the villagers, hoping to feel a spark of emotion that would bring the pendant to life. But nothing came. The pendant remained as cold and silent as stone. For hours she wandered through the village, seeking out the pulse of life, but it was as if the world around her had quieted. No laughter, no sorrow, no fear, no joy. The silence pressed in on her, suffocating and alien. For the first time in her life, Elira felt utterly alone, with only her own heartbeat to keep her company. It was in that moment, standing alone beneath the shadow of the great oak tree, that Elira realized the truth. The pendant had always been a guide, a companion in her journey. But now it had given her something more. In its silence, it had freed her from its magic. She had learned to listen not to a stone but to the unspoken language of the heart. She no longer needed the pendant to understand the world. She had learned to understand it on her own. With a deep breath, Elira removed the pendant from her neck. It shimmered in the dim light as though acknowledging her decision. She held it in her palm, feeling its soft pulse for the last time. The stone seemed to hum gently, as if bidding her farewell. She walked deeper into the woods, towards the ancient oak that had stood there for centuries, and placed the pendant carefully within the hollow of its trunk. The tree's rough bark seemed to embrace the pendant, and Elira knew that it would wait there, resting in silence until another soul was ready to hear the whispers of the world. As she stepped away from the tree, a weight she didn't realize she had been carrying lifted from her chest. She felt lighter, freer, her heart beating with the rhythm of the world around her. The stars above twinkled softly, as if the heavens themselves were congratulating her on her newfound understanding. Elira did not mourn the loss of the pendant. She had not lost a gift. She had simply grown into it. And somewhere deep within the heart of the Whispering Vale, the pendant's heartbeat returned, waiting for the next heart to listen.